So, what happens when humanity finally solves its oldest, most fundamental problem? Survival. That's what we're going to dive into here. We're going to explore a future that's been totally reshaped by artificial superintelligence, or ASI. And look, this isn't just about faster computers. This is a thought experiment about a complete shift in what it means to live, to work, and, well, to be human.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? We're not just getting a simple upgrade. We are talking about a complete system overhaul for all of human civilization. The operating system that's been running our societies for thousands of years, one based on scarcity and struggle, is about to be replaced.
So what does this new operating system even look like? Well, it's a huge transition. It's about moving from a world that's defined by what we lack to a world that's defined by what we can create.
Okay, check this out, because this is the core of it. Our entire history has been a struggle for survival, right? A constant competition for limited resources. And ASI civilization completely flips that on its head. It turns life into the play to create meaning. The whole game is no longer about just staying alive. It's about what you can contribute, what you can create in a world of total abundance.
That sounds absolutely incredible, but I know what you're thinking. How is an economy of abundance even possible? I mean, how do we get from a world of finite stuff to one where everything is basically free?
It all starts with this one absolutely radical premise: the fundamental economic problem of scarcity, the thing that's driven every war, every innovation, every society in history, is solved for good.
So how would this even work in theory? Well, the roadmap kicks off with ASI mastering fusion energy, which would give us limitless, clean power. Then, with all that energy, you could have these autonomous nanobots that can literally assemble matter at the molecular level. This would mean you could create anything on demand: food, houses, you name it, from the most basic elements. And the final result of all that? The cost to make one more of anything, it drops to practically zero.
Now that changes our whole idea of what's valuable. Today, a lot of status comes from owning rare or expensive things. But in an AI world, when you can get anything you want, whenever you want it, physical ownership starts to matter a whole lot less. Real wealth becomes about accessibility, your ability to just tap into this incredible, all-providing environment.
And if everything is super abundant, how does society make sure everyone gets what they need? Not with basic income, but with something called universal basic services. Think about healthcare, education, housing, and transport, not as things you have to buy, but as public utilities. Just like the air we breathe or the water from the tap. Your survival is completely, 100% decoupled from having a job.
So if money isn't the goal anymore, what is? Your reputation. The idea here is we'd shift to what you could call an evaluation economy. Your influence, your social capital, it all comes down to how much you enrich the lives of the people around you. Now, of course, a system based on reputation brings up its own set of tricky questions about social pressure and who gets to decide what's valuable. But in this vision, things like empathy and trust, they become the new currency.
Okay, so we've rebooted the entire economy. But what about politics? What about government? I mean, how do you manage a society that's gotten this complex when our human brains just can't keep up anymore? The model for how we're governed becomes, well, biological. Society starts to function like a giant self-regulating organism, and the ASI acts as its central nervous system. It could optimize everything in real time, from traffic flow to resource distribution, getting rid of all the inefficiency and waste caused by human error. Though, yeah, handing over the keys to the kingdom like that definitely brings up some pretty serious questions about autonomy and control.
And this brings up a huge question, right? If an algorithm is running the day-to-day operations of society with perfect efficiency, is there even a point to having human leaders anymore?
The answer is yes, absolutely. But the role changes dramatically. The ASI would handle the how, the flawless execution of policy. But humanity, we get to keep the most important job of all, deciding the why. We're the ones who get to ask the big philosophical questions. Should our society prioritize total safety and stability, or should we embrace risk for the sake of evolution? Politicians basically become philosophers.
Because here's the thing. An AI, no matter how smart it is, can't be an ethical agent. It can't truly be held responsible for its actions. So the ultimate authority has to rest with a human. The highest office in the land might just be the person who has to bear the final moral weight of a huge decision and metaphorically sign off on it. That ability to take responsibility, that would be the peak of human governance.
So, the economy's automated, government is optimized. Which leads us to maybe the most personal question of all. In a world where nobody has to work, what do people actually do all day?
We might evolve from Homo sapiens, or wise man, to Homo ludens, which means playing man. And this is a really profound shift. Play here doesn't mean just messing around with trivial games. It means doing things for their own sake, driven purely by curiosity, creativity, and the search for meaning, not because you need a paycheck.
And this table kind of breaks down where our unique human value would come from. The big idea is that we'd focus on the stuff that AI just can't replicate. It can process facts, sure, but we ask the deep questions. It can create technically perfect art, but we create imperfect art that tells a deeply personal story. Our value is found in everything that's subjective, emotional, and physical, like the irrational affection you feel in a deep friendship or the raw, lived experience of climbing a mountain.
A world of abundance, freedom from work, governed with perfect efficiency, it honestly sounds like a utopia, but this very perfection creates humanity's greatest and maybe its final challenge.
Just think about that for a second. For our entire existence as a species, the fear of death, of starvation, of not having enough, that anxiety has been our prime motivator. It has fueled our ambition, our innovation, our progress. And in this new world, it's just gone.
The final frontier isn't out there in space. It's right here, inside us. The biggest threat is no longer extinction, but meaninglessness. How does a species that has been defined by struggle find its purpose when the struggle is finally over? This becomes the central, spiritual adventure of the ASI age. This metaphor really captures the new partnership perfectly. The ASI could build and perfect the physical world, the hardware of civilization. It could build the ideal machine for us to live in, but it's up to us to write the software that runs on it. The culture, the art, the values, the stories, the meaning.
Which leaves us with this one, final, all-important question. When all of our external problems are solved, we are forced to turn inward and ask, maybe for the first time in our history, without the distraction of survival, what is our purpose? In a world without struggle, what does it truly mean to be human?